Hello, Jambo, Karibu. Welcome to my channel. My name is Chilanda and this is Library Without Borders. As I am filming this, it's 8 something. It's pretty scary outside. That's why we're in Studio A filming my July wrap-up. As you may know, it is my birthday month. It is August and I am pretty excited for this month because I am gonna try to create content with a little bit of a birthday vibe to it, you know, a little bit of sparkle. All right, but before I even get into it, I want to say, first of all, thank you to all my subscribers who are very faithful to this channel. I wouldn't be here without you guys, so thank you for that. Mom and Dad, thank you for always encouraging me to follow my dreams. Thank you for that. I will be thanking you almost every time this month because you give me life. Hence the reason why I'm even doing this today. It's because of you, my parents. So thank you for that. All right, guys, I hope you're doing great. Let's get into this. All right, so this month, or the past month of July, I read a total count of 8 books in total, including the Audible book that I listened to. So 8 books. I was shy of the 1 book that I didn't finish, and I will talk about that later. So a few of these books I already have some reviews on them. I will not go in details because I will link the links for those book reviews somewhere here. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about, it is this book. It is by Sadiqa Johnson. As you know, she is the author of Yellow Wife and The House of Eve. And I read And Then There Was Me. I absolutely love this book. You know, not all books that are national bestsellers or award-winning are spectacular. Even those finds like this one, And Then There Was Me. So I don't think I would have picked this book if I didn't read a book already by Sadiqa Johnson. But because I enjoyed some of her works, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick this one. So this one, we follow 2 friends. And we have Awilda and Bea. Awilda and Bea are fantastic friends. They grew up with each other. They were there for each other when Bea was going through traumatic times, because in the story we discover that Bea's father was married and Bea's mom is not the wife. She's the mistress per se. So when she discovers that truth, obviously she's trying to, figure things out, because she would grow up, her father would always come see her mom on the weekend, but most of the weekdays he wasn't present. So she knew that aspect and she didn't understand. She was really young. So when she finally discovered, her mom tells her that he's married, he has another family, she has Awilda, her best friend, to fall on, who helps her navigate through the grief, because at some point the dad does pass away and she, or at least her mom, is not even allowed to go to the funeral. So she makes Bea go to the funeral. So you already can sense the kind of friendship that Awilda and Bea have. And now, fast forward, they're growing up. Bea, she has a family of her own. She has 2 children and she has a lovely husband. And one thing about this book, I need to mention some trigger points here, is that they deal with bulimia in this book. So be very aware of that, because throughout the book it's quite a fight. But one aspect that I realized in this book was that they dealt a lot about skin. They spoke a lot about light skin, like Bea's husband was of Italian and Cuban heritage, hence his coloring skin. And Bea talks about her not being that color, but still, brown, and dealing with the backlash of other people mocking her skin tone, her hair. She talks about growing up in a predominantly Puerto Rican and Dominican neighborhood and how Hispanic people always made fun of her darker skin and her hair and her mom also always talking to her about staying away from the sun so that she wouldn't get her skin dark. So I thought that was quite disturbing, because it's a subject that even us today as Black people in modern times, still we deal with that, with skin colorism. It's very present in our life. So apart from that, we also meet, of course, her husband Loni. They seem to be a good couple, but then when you dwell deep inside the story, you discover that the bulimic side of Bea is triggered by the behavior of her husband. Her husband is not faithful. An incident happened in the past which triggered her. She would go and binge on food, and then after that run to the bathroom and puke all of that. And her husband doesn't know. Her best friend Awilda doesn't know. Her mom also doesn't know. So she keeps that very secret. But the thing is, she decided to be a surrogate mother to Loni's cousin, which is absolutely commendable on her part to do that. But now throughout the pregnancy, she's dealing not only with her bulimia, she's also dealing with her husband's unfaithfulness. And what we discover, baby, I need you to play that clip when I'm talking about the books that I was gonna read for the month of July. Please play that clip and hear what I had said. You know what? I see two girls. I see her best friend. I bet that's what it's gonna happen. I bet. I see it. I can feel it. It's her best friend. She's the one who's gonna do the ultimate betrayal. So we discover a secret so big here, it had my mouth dropped. Like, what? I was like, oh no. I also love the way the book ending and the importance of friendship in this book, the importance of marriage, and the importance of family. These subjects were really explored in this book, as well as, you know, Blackness and all of that. So I really like the way Sadika Johnson tackled the subject and the story. I will try to read all these books at the end. Next, I'm actually happy I finished this series, okay? I will post all the 3 books from this series here, and it's the 3rd book, the final book in the Lilith Brood novel by Octavia E. Butler. It was Imago. Now, this book, I was not feeling it. We follow a construct child. Construct child is the product of human beings and the Onkali people. Joda is the main character in this story. We follow him. He needed to find a mate. And throughout the book, because he was the product of a human being and Onkali parents, it was a need that needed to be fulfilled. Like, he needed to find mates. And because on the planet where they are, there are no longer humans except they call them the resistant, like the ones that resisted the invasion of the Onkali. There's a village that he comes upon and discovers these 2, a brother and a sister, and they're both so deformed, like very deformed. Like the way Octavia describes the deformity, it's so grotesque. But he has power that he can use to heal these 2 these siblings. Now, he needs to mate with both siblings, which again, I don't know how Octavia did that, because it was absolutely disturbing. Like, it was almost incestual. So what happens is that once you are touched by the Onkali, or you mate with the Onkali, you can no longer have sexual intercourse with a human being. Like, you're repulsed. Like, it becomes a repulsive feeling that you get if you even try to get in contact with a human being. So that's the whole thing about the Onkali invasion of humanity. They can no longer procreate with humans because they cannot stand each other. So human beings that have been in touch with the Onkali can no longer co-procreate with human beings. So the siblings, when they see Joda, so they resist him, but he tries to convince him that eventually, even though their village is still hidden from the rest of the Unkalai people, it will be found. So it's best that they just come with them and kind of mate with them because he needs them. And progressively throughout the story, you see that they kind of give in and then they mate. The brother, he mates with the brother, and then he mates with the sister. They obviously become a couple. And now you follow them going back to the village and trying to speak with the rest of the villagers to be like, okay, you guys, we have to come on board, literally, with these Unkalai people, or it's gonna be done by force. If y'all don't just do it, let's just be receptive to them instead of resisting, because it is bound to happen. And the ones who do resist, the Unkalai people, have the choice to go and live on planet Mars. As I said, it was an interesting concept. I struggled to finish it, but since I had started the other 2 books, I knew I had to finish it. So like I said, stay for the rating at the end of the video. And then the other book that was on my TBR was Love on the Line by Laura Castora. I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the story. We follow Thea Morgan. Now, Thea Morgan she's African American, but I can pass for a white person because she's so strikingly white, but she is of African American descent. Now, the story with her is that she's single. She lost her husband, who died. I think either an accident or he was sick, but he died. And then the story with her and this pastor, what's his name? So the story with Xavier is that Xavier is this prominent pastor. He was really big and he's very rich, but he decides to give all his money away so he can pursue the pastor career, but low profile. He didn't want to be this big deacon anymore, but he wanted to do it like in a small town where he's not known. And they have a history with Bea. So Xavier is very black. Thea, as I said, she can pass for white, and they had a history together. They have a kid that he didn't know about until later in his years. And the reason was that she gave birth to that kid when she was really young, and then Xavier was still very wild and she didn't want to burden him with his own kid. But go figure. So now they meet, they decide to pick up where they left off, and they have a relationship. Now, the only thing is Bea is this big lawyer. And then Xavier, he decides to go in a small town like in Arkansas, a small town where he finds that church and would like to preside over there. Now, Thea is forced to go live there. They marry and they go live in that small town. And lo and behold, she is met with so much resistance, and she also has to come with the choice. She has to finally decide if she wants to live there in the small town, in a dilapidated house, in order to support her husband in his calling, or does she stay in the big city where she's a big time lawyer and pursue her own dream? Because it can be both. So that's a struggle. But at the same time, we also have Thea's daughter, who's extremely white. Obviously, she's African descent, but she's very white because her father was white and she came out very white with blue eyes. So when she goes to school, to university, she also faces adversity where she feels like every time people are questioning her, or she can be in a conversation with her friends that are white, and then they say something that obviously is not appropriate, if you're black, and she makes a comment about it, and her friends are like, but like, what do you care? Like, you're white. And she's like, no, I'm not. I'm African American. And they're like, oh, whoa. So now she has to navigate the complexities that comes with being of mixed race, and all the questions, obviously, that she's always facing, both her and her mother, and come to terms with their heritage and accept who they are. They are of mixed descent. They are who they are. That's the gist of the story. The end was very epic. I love the part where Bea finally decides to stand against the church, because the church was there almost wanting to suffocate her joy, suffocate her womanness, her power. And she had a speech that she made, and I loved it. I was there for it. Did I say Bea? I was thinking about the other story. Oh my gosh. Thea, please forgive me. Thea. And then Jessie is obviously the daughter. So I really like the story. I love the way Laura Castoro weaved this story together. Pick it up, it's quite a lovely story. Then we had 7 Days in June. I do have a book review on it. I really love the story. I did rate it already. So if you want to know more of what I thought about this book, please follow my review. I will link the link somewhere here. Then Yellowface. Did you guys like or watch my video with my friend Tess we did on Yellowface? I had so much fun filming this video. We literally went into, if not all the touchy subjects that were written in this book. I mean, we really décortiquated. On a vraiment décortiqué le livre. C'est ça que j'essaie de dire. Okay, donc, I will also link the link for this review somewhere here. So if you want more details, please watch the review. I also have a review on Happy Place by Emily Henry. Again, I already gave my rating for this. They were good story. I enjoyed them. They were not spectacular, but like I said, good reads. And then I read A Summer to Remember. Now this book was the book that I was supposed to read, and my husband was supposed to make me a meal. He didn't, so he owes me. He owes me in one of my next vlog, hopefully. But this story was so beautiful. It's a small town romance, but we follow Frankie. Frankie lives in Hollywood, and she is a collector of memorabilia of Hollywood. And she has this beautiful store in Hollywood where she collects all these beautiful memorabilia. Now, the story with her is that she doesn't know who her father is, and her mother dies in an accident. Now, she goes on a journey to search for who her father is, but also discovering who her mom was, because her mom died and never told her. She never spoke about her past. So she kind of left Frankie thirsty to know who she is and where she comes from. So she goes into this little town called Harpswitch, and there she will meet the people that her mom sort of considered like family. Although she wasn't there for years, she lived with the people in that Cape Town for over a year. And those people were, one of them was a golden star, Glory Cartwright. Now, the story with Glory Cartwright was that she was very famous in Hollywood in her days, but ever since moving to Cape Town, she lost that fame a little. People still recognized her, but she wasn't Hollywood famous anymore. And the reason is that her husband decided to hide them in Cape Town, promising that they were eventually going to go back to Hollywood. So she kind of withered away. And you go back into the past and into the present. Frankie is in the present, and she will hear the story of Glory Cartwright through a friend of Glory Cartwright who welcomes her in her house. And there together, they will unfold the mystery of who her father is, but also the true nature of why Glory Cartwright took her life. Because Glory does take her life, and she has a son. Now, the son is the one Frankie falls in love with. But at first, the reasons that bring them together are a bit controversial. And there's obviously some pullbacks from each other, because there's tension between Gabe, that's the guy's name, I was trying to figure out his name. So Gabe and Frankie, because Gabe thought that Frankie was there to either seek money, because he's obviously the son of a Hollywood star, and she's like, that's very preposterous. Like, that's not why I'm here. And obviously, you guessed it, there's a little bit of that frenemy romance in it. Enemy to lovers, you know, small town romance. This is the trope. And obviously, there's a little romance that sparkles between Gabe and Frankie. But at the same time, she will finally discover her family secrets, and so will Gabe as well, and decide to either make peace with it all and move forward, finally have her own life. Because at the beginning of it all, it felt like she was living through her mom's dreams, and going there, it was going to the place where her mom stayed for a while, was her way to make peace with her mom being gone and accepting who she is, regardless of where she comes from, regardless of her past. So I really like the story. It affected me a little bit just because at some point Gabe does read his mom's letter. That was one big aspect of the book, is that he didn't want to read his mom's letter because he was angry at his mom for taking her own life, and Frankie was there to help him read those letters because she knew that there was going to be something in it. And the way it got into Frankie's hands is because, as I said, she is a collector of memorabilia, and those letters were memorabilia, and it got to her hands. So that's the story of A Summer to Remember by Erica Montgomery. Lovely. And as I said, I listened to P. Jelly Clark, Ring Shout. I also have a review on it. So if you want more details, please watch those videos to get more in-depth review on Ring Shout. So we have come to that time to finally rate these books. If you watched my previous videos, I already have the ratings of some of these books already. So in no particular order, Island Queen was also part of my July read. So that means in total I read 9 books. Believe it or not, 9 books. Now that it is an accomplishment. So Island Queen, I remember I rated it 4.9 out of 5. Ring Shout, 3.5 out of 5. 7 Days in June, 4 out of 5. Emily Henry, Happy Place, 3 out of 5. And then A Summer to Remember by Erica Montgomery, 3 out of 5. Then we have R.F. Kuang, Yellowface, definitely 4 out of 5. This book was just excellent. Then we have Octavia Butler Imago. This book, 2.5 out of 5. I'm sorry, Miss Butler, but this was boring. So I just had to finish the series. 2.5 out of 5. Then we had And Then There Was Me by Sadika Johnson. Because of the twist, I'm gonna rate this 3.5 out of 5. It was a good book. I loved it. Then finally, we have Love on the Line by Laura Costaro. I rated this story 3 out of 5. It was a good read. It was enjoyable. So 3 out of 5. That's it for this video, you guys. I hope you liked the video, you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It does keep my channel alive, and it keeps me motivated to do this. I hope you do find something valuable in all these videos that I share with you guys. So thank you again, and I will see you in my next video. Ciao.